What's going on, guys? It's Coach Bronson here, and I just realized it's kind of dark. Hold on, let me see if I can turn this. I got a little light here. That helps out a little bit. Hey, what's going on? It's Tuesday night. We're being health and fitness as always, and today we're going to talk about how much lean mass, how much muscle do you actually need on your body in order to be healthy. But before we do that, I always want to remind you guys to subscribe. If this is the first time you're watching this channel, please subscribe so that you can watch more stuff. Hopefully that helps you out. Click on the little bell so you're notified every time a new video comes out. I do videos on Tuesday evenings live, just like this. And then another video Thursday or Friday comes out that's more exercise or health and fitness, like movement focused. Okay. The last thing I want to ask you before we get into the meat, hot pun intended, of this topic is if there's any information in here that you find is helpful, please share the information, share the videos that I put together. I want to get you information that's going to help you on your journey, but I also want to help as many other people as possible. And you are the way that that happens. Okay. The more you share, the more people we can affect, the more we can change and improve the overall health of everybody around us. Right. So please share this. All right. How much lean mass do you need? It's a question that a lot of people don't have an answer for. I've been doing a lot of research on this, and there's not a lot out there. There's a lot of information about, yes, you need lean mass. Yes, you need to have muscle. It's helpful in a lot of different ways. There's a lot of information about body fat percentage and how having a lower body fat percentage is helpful. There's a lot of information about the need to eat more protein because most people don't get enough protein in their diet and all the benefits of that. There's a lot of information about all this stuff, but I haven't not been able to find an actual recommendation for how much lean mass you should have on your body as a percentage, as a ratio, or anything, right? We know that there are standards for guidelines. I don't say standards, guidelines for how much body fat percentage you should have to be considered healthy. 32% or higher is considered obese. Ideally, there's some other numbers which we'll get into later based on your fitness level, health, things like that. But what we're going to do today is we're going to kind of dissect why it's important, what the focus should be on gaining muscle or losing fat and why. And then we're going to talk about what my recommendations, okay? Not based on anything scientific, no, based on the data that I've been able to find, but primarily based on my experience with myself, my experience working with hundreds of clients, and where I see the biggest impact in the ratio, the percentage of muscle mass that people have on their body to how they're improved, how their performance and the quality of life increases. Okay. Yes, we're going to talk. That's a great question, Purple Lady, Texas. We're going to talk about all that stuff today. Okay. So the first question has been posed by a watcher, and we're going to talk about that because that's the first thing on the list. The things to talk about anyways. You read my mind. What is body composition? Okay. So as you guys know, I am a huge fan of InBody. I have an at-home product. I am an affiliate for them. You can get a discount if you're interested in getting at-home products, any of the InBody at-home products. I think they're the best on the market, particularly for at-home use. The information they give you is invaluable in a lot of different ways. But let's talk about what the information is before we get into why it matters. Body composition, okay, is basically the breakdown of the parts of your body that are affected by what you eat and what you do, okay? Body fat, muscle mass, okay? Lean mass, bones, water, everything else that's not fat, okay? And then all the different percentages and ratios and numbers and all the things that go into that, okay? So when we talk about body composition, okay, let's talk about the most common thing we talk about, BMI, okay? Body mass index. The BMI, you see that a lot. Throw that out the water. Okay. BMI, to me, 99.9% of the time, BMI is a useless figure. Yes, it's a marker from the healthcare industry standards of obesity and things like that. I don't care about it. Okay. According to BMI, I'm obese right now. Okay. That's why I don't put much stock in BMI. The things that you want to look at, okay, body fat percentage, the pounds of fat on your body okay, compared to the pounds of your total body weight, okay? Pounds divided by pounds, that percentage is your percentage of body fat, okay? Um, there's another piece of that body fat puzzle that's called visceral fat, which is usually for in body and for most other scales or apps out there. Visceral fat is given as a score. The score may be different, rated differently, but there's basically a number that you want to be under for visceral fat or not over for visceral fat. Visceral fat is fat that's inside your body, around your organs. It's more dangerous. Uh, Dangerous kind of fat. You don't see it as much. There are people who can have a high body fat percentage even though they look lean, because inside is where all the fat is hiding. Okay, that's not what you're looking for. You don't want that. So body fat, visceral fat, lean mass. Okay, lean mass is basically your body fat minus your weight minus your body fat. So if you weigh 150 pounds and you have 50 pounds of body fat, then your lean mass is 100 pounds. Okay. Everything minus body fat is what your lean mass is. Okay. That's what you're looking for. So when we talk about eating protein on a 1-to-1 ratio and we say, hey, you should be eating 1 gram per pound of lean mass, what we're talking about is eating 1 gram per pound of everything that you weigh minus your body fat. Okay, that's what your lean mass is. Okay, skeletal muscle mass is the determination based on the device of the muscle that's attached to bone. Okay, it's not talking about organ muscle. It's not talking about your heart muscles, things like that. It's the muscles that are attached to your bone, the muscles that help in locomotion, moving your body, stabilizing your body, doing work. That's the kind of stuff we're talking about when we talk about skeletal muscle mass. Okay, if it's attached to bone, that's what we're talking about with skeletal muscle mass. Okay. And that's usually presented in pounds. That's what we're going to talk about today. That's usually presented in pounds. We're going to talk about how to take that skeletal muscle mass, turn it into a percentage, and then build a ratio that connects that to your body fat percentage to give you a health, because that's really what we're talking about. Okay. Would love to go over our DEXA scan with you sometime. Hey, that is a fantastic idea. Um, don't let me forget that, Teresa. Okay, don't let me forget that, because we can talk about either doing that as a video. We can maybe do that in group coaching, or some other type of thing. But that's a fantastic idea. I like that idea a lot. Okay, so Purple Lady, Texas. I hope that answers your question. Okay. Oh, BMR. You had BMR in there. Base metabolic rate. Your BMR is essentially, for lack of a better term, I like to call it my Netflix and chill, caloric burn. So if I'm sitting on the couch and I'm not doing anything, right? I'm just sitting on the couch, vegging out, watching Netflix all day long for 24 hours. That is the amount of calories my body would have burned to function with me just sitting on the couch. Okay. So that can vary. The more activity you do, the higher you're going to burn, but that's not your base. That's your base metabolic rate plus whatever your daily activity is on top of that. So that's why when you see a lot of calorie calculators, how many calories should I get in a day? That's why a lot of those calculators have how active are you in the day? Do you have a sedentary job? Do you work out for a couple hours a day? They ask questions like that so they can kind of estimate what additional calories you may have burned on top of your BMR to kind of say, this is where you need to be to maintain, to lose, to gain, whatever you're trying to do with that calculator. Okay. So that's what BMR stands for. All right. So that's your body composition. That's what makes up your body composition. Okay. It's basically how much fat do you have? How much muscle do you have? Okay. That's what we're talking about. Now, why is that important? Everybody likes to talk about losing fat. Okay. Body fat this, get skinny here, do this to burn calories. All of the things that everyone likes to talk about is burning fat. That's not a bad way to go. Okay. But what does that give you? The loss of body fat gives you one thing. I'll say it gives you one, maybe two things. Okay. Number one thing that losing body fat gives you is less body fat. Okay. Gives you less body fat. It may give you more energy, because as you get better at burning fat, your energy efficiency improves a little bit. Your body gets better at being a fat burner. So there is some benefit to the efficiency at which your body is able to burn fat. So it helps you with more energy throughout the day. You're able to access and utilize your body fat so you have more energy throughout the day. Okay, so you're not, so you can burn it better, and then you have less of it because you're burning it better. Okay, so those would probably be the two benefits I can think of to focusing on burning body fat. Okay, now what if we could think about something that does more than just got rid of body fat? Because when you think about this, if you're focused on losing body fat, what happens after you lose the body fat? What's the number one thing that everyone says when they lose their body fat? Now, they lost this weight, this thing that's been holding them back. Okay. And then they say, oh, I need to start working out. I need to start building muscle. I still, even though I'm skinny, I've lost this weight, I still need to be able to start doing things that I haven't been able to do before. Okay. So they've spent all this time losing weight, and now they're getting into a phase where now they can say, now they're starting to say, oh, wait, there's more to it than just losing weight. I also have to build muscle so I can do things. Okay. Everybody eventually gets to the building muscle piece. Okay. What if we change the focus around from the beginning and start saying, hey, let's start building muscle first and not focus on fat loss at all? What if we focused on improving our metabolic function, okay, by eating fuel that's going to not cause inflammation, by eating protein that's going to build muscle and allow my body to function from a hormone perspective, from a recovery perspective, from a muscle protein synthesis perspective, and then do some activities to help stimulate that growth and metabolic function so that I can have a better quality of life earlier in the process. I don't have to wait 5 years to lose weight before I start doing something to get strong and be able to do stuff with my body. I can start doing stuff with my body now, and I gain a whole bunch of benefits right up front, okay, with better hormone regulation, with better fat burning because I have more muscle to burn fat, with better quality of life because I can move my body and build strength and be stable and have flexibility and improve my fitness because fitness is health. Okay. Everything changes. Everything changes when we start talking about building muscle versus losing fat. Okay. So think about that. That's what we're talking about. If you look at the description in this video, I put a link to a blog that I wrote that kind of talks about some of this stuff a little bit more. There's a graph that talks about what happens if you focus on fat loss versus focusing on lean mass. But that's really the goal, guys. Remember, when we talk about body composition, we always talk about body fat percentage. What is body fat percentage built around? What is it based on? It's based on a comparison. Drop your body fat percentage and not have ever lost a single pound of fat. Think about that. You do not have to lose fat in order to decrease your body fat percentage. If you gain muscle, that ratio, that number will still change. And you will improve your body's ability to do physical activity at the same time. When you build muscle, you increase your do. What can I do? When you lose fat, you increase fat loss. There's a very, very big difference on how it applies to your actual everyday life. Okay. Rainey's asking the question: how do machines determine what your BMR is? How can they know if your metabolism is slowed down? What number change is based on lean body mass? No. So the numbers, all the different machines have different calculations and formulas that they use. There are 3 or 4 standard formulas that are used in the industry to determine BMR. It's based on your weight, your age, your height. Essentially, those are the things that really, you can go into any website, just type in BMR calculator, and we'll ask you those basic things, and it will tell you what your BMR is. Usually they're pretty close together, depending on which formula they're using. They're pretty close together, close in their numbers between 100 to 150, maybe 200 calories a day off, but they're pretty close. Again, don't BMR is, we can probably do a whole nother discussion on BMR. There's a lot of nuance to understanding BMR and how to use it. And remember that it is always, always, always an estimation. There is no possible way to get a 100% accurate number for your BMR. It's always an estimation. Okay. So just something to think about. And then as far as understanding how your BMR is changing, if your metabolism is, if you're burning less or more, that is something you have to keep track of and track it as you go. And then we can make determinations based on what you're doing, whether you need to eat more, eat less, what you're eating. There's a whole bunch of things that kind of go into that. That's where having a coach who understands BMR, TDEE, total daily energy expenditure, what you're doing for your exercise and things like that. Like there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. That's not something that most people are successful at figuring out on their own. So definitely, if you're trying to dig into that, get some read up on it, get some questions answered by somebody who's done it, or just get a coach that can kind of walk you through it. All right, so we understand what body composition is. We understand why lean mass is important and how it changes your journey. If you've been focused 100% on fat loss, I highly recommend you stop and you start thinking about muscle gain. Okay. It will completely change your life. I guarantee it. It will change everything about the success you're having, about the sustainability of what you're doing, about the immediate improvement in your day-to-day life and your ability to do things, not just focus on I just got to lose more weight. I got to lose more weight. I got to lose more weight. That is an endless circle of depression and despair. And we don't want that. We want to give you things that you can do to succeed. And that means you need to get your body to a point where you can start doing things to succeed and not just focus on lose, because then when you're done losing, all you have is loss. And that's not what we're looking for. We want gain. We want positivity. We want success. We want movement forward. And that means getting your body to be able to do more. And in order for that to happen, you need muscle. I don't know how many times I can say that. I feel like I want to say that every day, all the time. More muscle. Okay. That doesn't mean we need to get jacked. That's a whole nother, I'm not talking about that. We just need to get more. Okay. How much more? Let's talk about that. All right. So, been doing some research the last few days, trying to find as much information on how much muscle we actually need to be healthy. Okay. So, haven't been able to find anything. Tons of stuff out there about what a healthy body fat percentage is. So let's talk about that first. Okay. There are a whole bunch of different recommendations out there. Okay. And without going into all the different sources and all the different places that may have something listed, whether it's recommendations or averages of current population, whatever, I'm just going to say that basically what we're looking for most people, okay, is, let me see here. I got this on here. Okay. My recommendation based on the information that I found, okay, about what healthy individuals have, okay, where I see in combination with what I see happen with the people that I work with, where their improvement and their quality of life journey changes for the better. Okay. We're going to talk about those. Those are the numbers that I'm basing this off of. There's some studies that have been done, surveys, average people at certain levels of fitness, where their body fat percentages are based on how old they are, what gender they are, things like that. There's a ton of information out there. Okay. So here's what I'm going to say. Your body fat percentage, if you are a man, okay, I don't care how old you are. Okay. That's a whole nother video. We're going to talk about how every fitness source that you see out there automatically assumes that anybody over 50 is going to have more body fat and less muscle than somebody who's 30. Screw that. There is no need for that. It doesn't have to happen. And it should not be an assumption made by anybody. Don't get me started. Okay. Muscle can be maintained. It does not have to go down. Okay. So for men and for women, these numbers, I don't care how old you are. This is a number that I'm saying, I don't care if you're 50. I don't care if you're 40. I don't care if you're 30. I don't care if you're 60. These are numbers that I think you should be able to get and shoot for. Okay. For body fat percentage for men, 20%. Okay. 20% body fat is where I want to get to. I want to get you to. If you're a client of mine, these are the numbers that I would set as, hey, these are my eventual goals to get you to be what I consider healthy and optimal. Okay. For men, 20% body fat. For women, 23% body fat. Okay. 20% for men, 23% for women. Okay. Now, the muscle mass is the thing that nobody has. I can't find it anywhere. So how do I figure that out? So what I do is I ask some people that I know that I consider to be in fairly good health. And I ask some people, I look at the clients that I've dealt with and worked with who are not in good health, who have become healthy. I look at where they were, where they ended up. I talk to people I know that are very good health. And I take this information, very unscientific. Okay. This is Coach Bronson's recommendation based on the information that Coach Bronson has access to and the experience he's had working with real people, to say that for men, my recommendation is a 45% skeletal muscle mass to body weight ratio. Okay. And for women, 40% skeletal muscle mass to body weight ratio. Okay. So if you think about that, what I'm saying, for men, 20% of your body weight should be fat, 45% of your body weight should be muscle. Okay. For women, I'm saying 23% or less. Okay. Same for men. It's 20% or less. For women, 23% or less of your body weight should be fat. Okay. And 40% or more, same for guys, 45% or more. Women, 40% or more of your body weight should be muscle. Okay. Now, there's, that's new information. Okay. Now, granted, I'm just now coming out with this. I've spent a while thinking about how to figure this out and what to put this out there. That may change. As of right now, that's my recommendation. As I get more feedback, as more information comes from me, I get more experience, work with more people, talk to more people. Maybe there's other information out there that I don't know about that I get privy to. That may change. But for right now, that's my recommendation. Okay. So 45% for men of muscle or more, body fat should be 20% or less. For women, 40% or more, body fat should be 23% or less. Okay. If you want to, and this is something that I'm going to put out there as the apex quotient, the apex body mass quotient. Okay. Maybe I'll keep calling that. I don't know. The AQ, your AQ number. All right. Let's start something new. Your AQ. Start asking people, what's your AQ? Because it's going to let them know that you know something that they don't. Okay. You know what your muscle mass is supposed to be. Okay. If for men, your AQ, which is the ratio of your body fat to skeletal muscle mass percentage, right? So 20 to 45%, 5 or higher, right? You should have at least twice as much or a little bit more, twice and a quarter more muscle than you do fat. Okay. Women, you should be just under 2 to 1. Okay. Women, you should 23 to 40, you should be at an AQ of 1.7. Okay. So just under. So if it was 2 to 1, you're at like 1 3/4 to 1. Okay. So just under that 2 to 1 ratio. So you should have almost twice as much muscle to body fat. Okay. So keep those numbers in mind. You will probably see these again. We'll talk about these again. All right. So I'm going to probably write a paper, write an article, and kind of break this stuff out a little bit more. But I wanted to talk about it because I really think it's important for people to have a goal. What am I shooting for? Okay. Coach Bronson keeps talking about build more muscle. And I'm just eating more protein and starting to work out and lifting weights and doing these things. But what's the end result? What am I shooting for? Now you have something to shoot for. Okay. 23% for women, body fat, 40% muscle mass, skeletal muscle mass. 40% of your body should be skeletal muscle mass. Men, 20% body fat, 45% of your body should be muscle mass. Okay. So you now have to shoot for, you have a plan in place, And you have two numbers now that make sense together. You can now look at two numbers to manipulate up and down. I want to add muscle. I want to lose fat. I can do both at the same time. My body fat percentage can go down as I grow my muscle. You'll see these numbers change, and you'll start to understand the importance of muscle gain versus fat loss. I will say it 100 times out of 100, gaining muscle will always be better than losing fat, because the fat loss will come once you get the muscle. Okay. And you improve your quality of life immediately once you start doing things to grow muscle. Okay. All right, guys. I hope that was helpful. Let me see if there's any other questions. Yes. Betraya, you want me to get started? I don't know if I have enough time to get started. It's time for dinner. Ha. Let's see. Claire. Good. What was the ratio again for skeletal muscle to what? Susan, the ratio for skeletal muscle to, so there's two numbers you're figuring out. One is to find out what your skeletal muscle percentage is. That's first. So if you have, okay, let's just do this as a rate. Let's just do this. Let's say you weigh 100 pounds, 25 pounds is fat, 25 pounds is skeletal muscle. So you have 25% skeletal muscle and you have 25% body fat. So you are at 1-to-1. What I want you to have, pretty much, it basically works out to be a 2-to-1 skeletal muscle to body fat. So I would rather you be at 50 pounds out of that 100 be skeletal muscle and 25 pounds be fat. Okay. So that's what your AQ. So when I talk about AQ, that's a term that I just coined. You guys are the first ones ever hearing this term, your AQ number. Okay. That is your apex quotient that I just made up. Okay. That is the ratio of your body fat percentage to your skeletal muscle mass percentage. Okay. That's where that 2-to-1 that you're kind of shooting for is all about. I hope that answers your question, Susan. All right, guys, that's it. That's all we got time for tonight. Again, if there's any questions, please post in the comments after. Join the Facebook group if you haven't joined the Facebook group, and ask any questions you have there. If you have any suggestions, thoughts, other things you want me to talk about, let me know. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, but most importantly, share this video. This video in particular is a lot of information that nobody's ever heard before because it's never been said before. You guys are first. All right, take it easy. Talk to you next week.